Hey folks, timhower here. I'm joined by Alex Riley, and we are going to talk about high school football. We're going to do this every week. We're going to pick 5 games that we're going to talk about and just kind of give you guys a heads up on what's going on. 3 of the games this week we're going to cover. We'll let you know which games we're going to cover and where to follow us on Twitter. And make sure you pick up a copy of today's paper. We've got a whole football page dedicated to stats, standings, and some previews on some games as well. And then in Saturday's paper, you'll want to make sure that you check out our game stories. And then in Sunday's paper, I will have kind of a recap of the whole week. So make sure you check us out. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter on Star News Varsity. And we'll get started here. First game is the game that I'm going to be covering this week. Hoke County at New Hanover. Wasn't a very close game last year. I don't really expect it to be that close this year. I think it's actually a good game for New Hanover to start with. Hoke went 0-11 last year. They're looking for their first win. They're 0 for their last 13. So it's a good start for New Hanover. They've got some inexperienced linemen, some inexperience at the quarterback position. Mm-hmm. I think it'll be a good way for them to kind of open the season and just get some confidence going this first week.
Well, you always want to play your best non-conference schedule, but like you said, in the case of New Hanover, with so many new faces coming in, especially at key positions, blocking, passing, stuff like that, if you give those guys a chance to get in against competition that's not their own teammates and actually play a real live game, build up some of that confidence, kind of figure out timing and rhythm and all that type of stuff, it's a big deal. So I think you're right. I think it's a perfect game for them. I mean, you'd love to say you're playing Wallace, Rosehill, or some defending state champion and get your season started off right. But if you want to build up your team in the right way, this is probably the perfect game for them.
And New Hanover's got those tough non-conference games coming up. They've got Scotland, they've got Myrtle Beach High School. So those games are coming, but I think this is a good one to start on. The game that you will be at, that you can follow Alex at Alex Riley Sports on Twitter. He'll be at Laney for Wallace Rosehill Laney. Mm-hmm. And another game that wasn't very close last year. Probably won't be that close again this year. Wallace Rosehill is really good, and Laney's gonna have all they can handle with the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I think I don't think it's gonna be. I think it's going to be a double-digit win. I think it's going to be a double-digit win in favor of Wallace Rosehill. However, I think for Laney, the big thing is, can they make that score closer than it was last year? Last year, what was it, 42-14? I knew it was 40-something to something, pretty low. And Laney didn't get their touchdowns until the second half, if I remember correctly. So for Laney, if they can make that game a 35-21 game or something like that, that's a lot of signs of improvement against a team with a lot of athletes. A lot of athletes Laney would love to have, actually. So, if they could make that game manageable, maybe even be in it towards the end and then lose by, 2, maybe 3 touchdowns, I think that's a great confidence builder for them going up against the defending 1AA state champ.
Yeah, we watched Wallace Rosehill play New Hanover at the BB&T Jamboree, and I thought that defense looked like they were in midseason form. They've got 7 or 8 starters back from that team that gave up 9.4 points per game last year. So defensively, Wallace Rosehill is really good. Yep. The third game we're going to cover this week, you can follow E. Datweiler SN on Twitter. He'll be at North Brunswick for the North Brunswick Whiteville game. This will be the 4th straight year that they open the season against each other. North Brunswick has won in the odd years. Whiteville won in 2014, so the Wolfpack fans think it's their turn again to win here in 2016. We'll see how it turns out, but I think this is a good matchup for both teams early in the season. Both teams have some pretty high expectations this year and a lot of kids back. So the winner here, they really get some good confidence going into the rest of the non-conference schedule.
Yeah, 2 teams with a lot of speed and a lot of talent on both sides of the football. I think Whiteville's obviously breaking in a new quarterback. They've got some other guys that they're trying to figure out. They lost their best defensive player. So there's some holes there to fill for them, just like North Brunswick. North Brunswick lost a couple good linemen and linebackers from last year, but they've still returned a lot of talent. They got Jathan DeBerry back. He's a heck of a quarterback. Both sides are just trying to figure things out. So it's a good matchup. It's speed versus speed. It's a chance for both sides to see where each other stands. The only thing that I know that Eric is hopeful for and the coaches are hopeful for is we get the game done on Friday, because if I remember correctly, last year was the year it carried over into Monday because I was covering it. So let's just hope it gets done in 1 week this time.
Absolutely. Another game that we will not be staffing, but you'll be able to find the results on starnewsonline.com or in Friday's paper. Trask at Topsail, a Pender County showdown that Topsail has kind of dominated the past couple years. Trask still looking to kind of get their numbers up and to try to build something there. They've got Stephen Jordan. This is a matchup of good running backs because Topsail's obviously got DJ Montano, who had a great freshman season. So there'll be a lot of running in this game, physical game, and I give the edge to Topsail, but I think Trask has got some momentum going in the right direction.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Tyrese Armstrong is a really good kind of X factor for them. Obviously, he throws the ball fairly well, but he runs the ball very well too, and he's a big kid for the quarterback position. So I think you get him involved. You get, like I said, Stephen Jordan involved. They lost their best wide receiver last year, but there's some players over there in Rocky Point. Obviously, I think Topsail's going to have more players just on body count. But a good test. It's obviously a rivalry game anytime these two play, so you can always kind of throw records out the window, even though there is no record right now. But you can always kind of throw that out the window, and you're going to get a close game generally. And I think that'll probably be the case on Friday night.
Yeah. Another game that is going to be out of the area, but it's a game of interest to us. Hoggard is going up to Holly Springs. Great game last year. Hoggard won 13-10. Down here in Wilmington. Expect another close contest. Holly Springs lost quite a few players, but they'll be deep and they'll have a lot of players. Hoggard has a lot back offensively, so I think they will be better on that side of the ball. The question mark for them is defense, and that's not usually a question mark with Hoggard teams. But we'll see how quickly some of these new players adjust to new roles and bigger roles on the defensive side.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how those guys handle things. Like you said, the offense really isn't much of a question. I mean, even though they have two quarterbacks are splitting time, two running backs are splitting time, a good tight end, lineman, all that type of stuff. But in the BB&T Jamboree, they really did a pretty decent job of stopping West Brunswick on some short plays, and then Bubba McRae would just bust off runs for 60, 70 yards. So if you're going to do that, that's probably not the best formula in the world, because if they're going to score every time they go for the long play, then that's not a good thing. So the defense is still kind of figuring things out. But Craig Underwood, in his second year, he's really got a chance to kind of put his stamp on that program and make it his own. Now that Scott Braswell's out of the picture, Jeff Turner's out of the picture, it's his to define now. So we'll see how he rallies that defense together. Cullum Crowley's going to be a key linebacker over there. It's going to be interesting how those guys kind of rally around each other and stop the opposing teams.
Yeah. So there's our outlooks on a couple games in the area. As I said, make sure you follow us on Star News Varsity on Twitter and Facebook, and make sure you pick up the paper. We appreciate all the support you guys give us.